Hi everyone, welcome back to the second training video in our strategic budgeting training series. So as mentioned in the last video, for this one we're going to add one more element to our sales revenue. So we're going to be looking at adding another revenue stream to feed into our sales revenue. And this time we're going to do a couple of things. We're going to do a manufactured product that we're going to sell. And on top of that, we're going to add in a growth rate. So we're going to assume a percentage of growth throughout the year for our sales revenue, so we can kind of model how that would work. So let's real quick. We didn't do this in the last video. We need to update the title of this, and it's important to keep these things updated as we go, just to keep it nice and clean for when we get to the end. We don't want to spend a whole lot of time at the end cleaning up everything we've done. It's easier to just do it along the way. So let's put P&L summary. So this is our summary sheet. And as mentioned before, if you are just joining us for this video, we are putting together this budget where we have no hard-coded numbers on our P&L summary for our budget. We want everything to come from a specific source and to be based off of something real. So in the last video, just to recap, we did recurring subscription revenue, which was really straightforward. We have a customer base of 200 coming into the year 2025. They each spent $100 a month, and so our total per month was $20,000. We also did a recurring subscription and estimating new customers. So we estimated that we could get 50 new clients for every $500 we spend in our social media marketing budget, which comes out to $10 spend per new customer. We decided that we were going to be able to afford $5,000 per month towards social media marketing, which should get us about 500 new customers. The revenue for those customers, again, we're assuming the same subscription is up here, it's just new customers, is $100 per month. So we can estimate that we have $50,000 a month coming in starting in January of 2025. Now, moving on, let's assume that we do a manufactured good that we sell. So we can call this, let's see, product sales. Our manufactured product. And for your own budget, if you have this type of product that you're selling and revenue from it, you'll put in whatever descriptions make sense for your specific product. Okay, so we need to do volume and price. Price is pretty straightforward. So let's say our price per unit. This will be based off of, it can be based off a lot of things. If you've been in business for a while and you have a price that is already set, that you're comfortable with, that you've been working with, use that. If you want to use an industry standard, if you want to use a competitive rate compared to your competitors, you do some research on your competitors, see how much they charge, you could go with that price. You could back into it depending on how much you spend for the manufacturing process. And so that's probably what we'll follow here because we don't really have data that we're working off of. So we'll back into it using the manufacturing costs. So right now, for our example, I'm not going to put a price per unit because I want to figure out how much it costs me to make it first before I get into that. So summarizing our manufacturing cost per unit, actually, I'm going to go manufacturing cost total. And I'm going to say last year I spent $10,000 a month to make, let's see, and we want to put in one more detail here. Manufacturing total dollars, manufacturing total units. So let's say it cost me $10,000 to make 9,000 units. So my cost per unit is my $10,000 divided by my 9,000 units, and it costs me about $1.11 to make each one. Okay. So dollars per unit. I'm going to do my estimation based on a markup. So let's say my markup, I want to charge, let's say 30% more than what 1.3, 30% more than what it cost me to make it. So I'm going to charge 1.44. That's my price per unit. So let me do this. Actually, and you know what I want to do? I want to break this out a little more. Let's put my markup, since this is the markup column, let's put that at 30%. We're going to change this up here to percentage. That way I can come back. We're going to put together a section with all of our inputs. The more inputs I have, the more detailed I can get. This would be a good input, so I can change the percentage of what my markup should be and play these numbers. So now what I want is my my revenue. I'd say the price per unit, because it's going to be the same as that over there. So equals 1 plus my markup times my cost per unit. Okay, there's my price per unit. So actually we can probably just leave that over there. Okay, so I have my price per unit. Now for my marketing budget, let's start with my past marketing budget. Let's say I got, we'll go with 200 new sales per month for every, this is a number. So I got 200 for every, let's say $500 I spent. Actually, let's put it a little closer. Let's put 210. For every $210 I spent, I got 200 new sales. Pretty good conversion rate. A little over $1 per sale. And considering that I sell it at $144, not too bad. Okay. Marketing budget. Units. I want to specify that that's units so I can understand where my units and dollars are coming from. My 2025 budget, I'm going to spend $1,000 a month, and that will net me, let's see, so total units, I'm going to do $1,000 for my marketing budget. Oops, we forgot one unit here. Let's see. I forgot to do, you guys didn't forget. You guys are probably sitting there screaming at the video saying, you forgot this part. What's my cost per unit for marketing? Cost per unit equals, cost me $1.05 to make one sale for marketing purposes. And then I've got total units equals $1,000 that I'm going to spend on marketing. It costs me $1.05 to get a new sale, so I'm going to have a total sales of $952.38 per month. Now, my price per unit that I'm selling it for is $1.44. So I'm going to come back over here and I'm going to say revenue for manufactured sales equals $1.44 times my new expected total units sold, and I estimate $1,376 a month from these manufactured sales. Now let's see. We may adjust this later. Let's do, because the problem is, for our example, we are manufacturing 9,000 units, but we're only selling 952 a month. It's a huge discrepancy. So we'll change that example a little bit. Let's do, just to make it more realistic, because we're not going to be producing that much and only selling a small fraction of that. There we go. Now we're selling slightly more than we're manufacturing, so we'll have to put manufacturing a little more into our budget. But that's how we get, that's how we back into sales revenue from a manufacturing cost standpoint, and how we can use either, like, we can use a markup percentage to determine our sales price. And once again, just like in the social media marketing new clients, we looked at what was our conversion rate. So how, in the past, how much are we spending to get how many new units sold? We're spending $210 to sell 200 units, so it costs us about $1.05 to get a new sale. I'm planning to budget $1,000 towards getting new products per month, so that should get me about 952 new units that I can sell. My total price per unit that I'm going to sell for is $1.44, and that's my expected sales. Now, when we come down to cost of goods sold, we'll actually revisit this section and we'll grab this manufacturing stuff. So we'll grab the cost per unit to manufacture, and we'll probably add in some growth rate to that. But like I mentioned up front, we do want to put in a growth rate to this, just as an example. So let's say every 3 months. So I'm going to say, see, my Q1, so January, February, March, is going to be this original price per unit, okay? My Q2, let's say we want to put in a growth rate of 5%. So let's say we need to put in 0.05, and we need to put percent. And let's say we're going to grow by 5% in Q3 and Q4. Just to keep this simple. It's all just an example so that you can take this information and how we do it and adapt it to your own financials. Now, so Q2 will have a sales price of equals 1 plus 5%. And the reason we do the 1 plus is because we want the original rate. That's what the 1 does. 1 plus 5%. So we're doing basically 105%. We want 1 plus 5. Okay, we're going to multiply that by our previous rate right there. And now we're going to do something similar, but we're going to base it off that previous one. So we're going to say 1 plus that guy times our previous rate. And now we can just actually drag this one over for the last rate. Cool. Okay, let's put it into our P&L summary. Let's tie it to this. We're going to estimate how many units. We're going to keep the units flat, 952, because we want to just keep this budget flat, so 952. So we're going to do, for the first 3 months, let's add a new line here. Yep, there we go. We're going to call this manufactured product sales. Okay. Remember, we have a different rate for each of the 3 months, Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. From January to March, we want our Q1 rate, and remember, we're going to do function or control F4, depending on your keyboard, to put our dollar signs there, because we don't want this to change. I want that to stay the same for the next 3 months. So we're going to do that rate times our total units, and again, function F4 or control F4 depending on your keyboard to put the dollar signs there. And by doing that, what we can do is we can just simply drag. Okay, now let's do our next 3 months. Our rate is changing, so we need to pick a different one. Okay, our new rate for Q2, function or control F4 depending on your keyboard, times our total units, and function or control F4 depending on your keyboard. And we will drag that one over for the next couple of months. Dun, dun. Cool. And continue with the Q3 and Q4 rates. Q3, function F4 times total units that we expect to sell, function F4, enter, and we'll drag that over there. And finally, our final rate equals $1.67, function F4 or control F4 times function F4, and I'm going to drag that across. So I don't make a whole lot off my products. It's more my services that make my money for this little fictitious setup we've got. But you know, you might have a business like that, mostly service dependent, and have a couple of sales in there. Okay, we need to update this to include our new sales revenue line. Drag that down, press enter. I'm going to take this little box here, drag it over so it copies the formula all the way across, and we are done. All right, we're gonna call this complete for sales revenue, net sales revenue. We still have to do, gross revenue. We still need to do our net sales revenue. We're gonna add in some discounts, customer concessions, things like that, to make sure that we understand the difference between net sales revenue and gross sales revenue and how that affects our P&L and our budget. We're going to call it a day for this video so it doesn't get too long, and we will pick up on the process in the next video. Thanks again for watching, and as always, if you have any questions, you can always email us or contact us. It's dodd-financial.com. Thanks for watching.